guys, welcome to Prim Heirloom Designs. This is Tina Logassi here, and welcome back if you are joining me fresh in January 2025. You may have noticed I took a few weeks off there at the end of the year. I was quite busy with markets, but now I'm coming back onto the channel and hopefully crafting with you regularly once again. So today I wanted to share with you these really cute bunnies and pattern. You're going to be able to find it linked below. It's by French Creek Farmhouse. You can see that there. It's a free downloadable and it makes these cute little bunnies. Now the difference is in what I did was I'm using some raw linen fabric scraps that I get from another maker and piece them together. So that's kind of a cool look. And on this one, my friend Kristen, who lives not too far from me, she gifted me a bunch of these beautiful old doilies and napkins that she thought maybe I could do something with. So this is an example of one using up one of those really pretty napkins. So I'm going to show you just what I do. And I also stuffed these both with fabric scraps because, you know, that's my preference. It gives a bit of weight to these and it keeps us with a sewing room that is zero waste when it comes to textiles, which I love. So what I'm going to do is show you. So these are the napkins that I have, the linen napkins, and you can see I've already cut out some stuff from there. And I've got this other one from her here. So I was thinking this one there's different shapes in it and I may kind of cut them all out and use them on various projects. So for this one, I think I'm just going to create, if I've got enough fabric here left, I do, for the one bunny side, and the other side will be this one. And since this is a bit of a thinner fabric, you can kind of see the color through. If you're going to be stuffing with fabric scraps and they're not neutral colors, the color will show through. So I will show you to get around that. You can take some muslin, like so. I'm going to lay, this is a double layer of muslin or cotton sheeting, whatever you call it. And I'm just going to take my bunny and I'm going to roughly cut around him. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is let me put this over, and this corner should be fine. Sure he fits nicely on there. Yeah, I might angle him more like that. Just want to make sure that you can see this bottom corner. I want to make sure that I'm not past that corner. So let me actually move this up just a little bit. So that'll be my back. And then my front. I have this piece over here I'm going to try to use up. And the nice thing with stuffing with the fabric scraps is any of these last little bits that come off of this, I'm just going to go ahead and put them right inside so there's no waste. So I like to just give it a small pinning in place. So right now I've got 4 layers of fabric going, and again that's just because because I'm using this napkin, I think it's a linen itself. It's quite nice. I just wanted to line it so that when I go to stuff it with my scraps, I don't have to worry about what color scraps I use. And that's the only reason I did that. So I'm going to grab one of my favorite tools to use is one of these markers. Hopefully it's still got some life in it, but it's one of the ones that just takes a little bit of water and it disappears. And that's my favorite kind. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw around this outline because that's going to become my sewing line. So after you've drawn your line all the way around, you can pull the tracer off. And what I'm actually going to do now is, because I do want to incorporate like this little flower shape off of this doily. So I'm going to cut that out and just snip it. Okay, so I've got this. And I'm going to position it and around there. So at this point, I'm going to this piece is going to come off because we're going to do some sewing first. I am going to just go ahead because I've got these all nicely lined up and I don't want things to shift on me. So I'm just going to throw some pins in there for now. Okay, and pull that up so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm back to this piece and I'm just deciding where I want to locate it. So I think I'll put it kind of up there and I'm just going to pin that into place. Okay, and now I'm going to go over to my sewing machine and I'm just going to do my best to kind of sew it around so that it's in place on this bunny. Okay, so you can see I have sewn this on. I'm just going to tidy up my threads. So I think that's going to look good. I'm just going to take these pins back off. All right, and I'm going to locate this back on here. You want to make sure you've got at least a 1/4 inch of fabric all the way around on both sides when you're doing this, because I'm just going to move it down a little bit more because you do want that overhang afterwards. And what I've been finding works well is I leave the bottom part unsewn because it's the part that doesn't really have much for curvature. So I'm going to make, you'll see in a moment, I'm going to make little tick marks where I'm going to leave this open for stuffing. And then after we stuff, I found the best way, because I want that stitch to be consistent, is I just throw in a hand stitched back stitch. You could also glue it in place if you weren't comfortable doing that. All right, so this is how it's looking. I'm just going to go around right now and cut through all those layers a bit closer just so that it's not so cumbersome at the machine. And I'm going to mark, I'm going to probably leave this much for a gap. All right, so now I'm just going to just do a normal stitch all the way around with my machine. And you can see I've left this bottom part open and I've sewn all the way around the outside of this bunny. I'm just going to take off a little bit of that. So what we're going to start with is getting rid of that blue line. But just a bit of water here, and I'm going to take and brush, and you can even just do this with your finger with this, but look how that just comes right off. I just like using the brush because it really gets into the fibers and it's actually quicker, I find, than just using my finger. And there you go. You can't even see that line anymore. All right, the next step is I don't care that it's wet. I'm just going to go ahead and cut. I'm cutting about a 1/4 inch around so that I've got a nice looking decorative edge there. And when I come down here, yes, I got rid of my line already, but I'm just going to visually gauge where that is. If that's a problem for you, you can always take that line off after you do this cutting part. All right, so these are like gold. I'm going to use those to help me stuff this little bunny. I have my hemostats. They're my favorite stuffing tool. So I've got this pile here, and that's going to be really good for getting up into the ears and stuff. Again, I'm not worried that this is still a bit damp because it will dry. It'll dry very fast. And this is going to be a bit messy to work with because it's got a bunch of lint in it too. Don't worry about that. You can always take a lint roller to this afterwards. But right now I'm just getting that up in and making sure that I'm stuffing inside of that double layer. And again, you did not have to do a double layer. It was just because I knew that I was going to be using fabric scraps to stuff the inside of this guy. Okay, and now that that kind of tight area is done, the only other tight area I have on here is this little foot and the tail back here. So for those, I can come back in. Oh, not the tail. I'm sorry. That's the the back foot. I'm just realizing I'm looking at these. I'm like, wouldn't that be cute if I did a tail on some of them? I might try that. Oh, I'm just gonna go ahead and keep stuffing this. And at this point, because I can reach in there, I've got a big enough hole down there, I can just use my hands to finish stuffing him. All right, and so now you can see the bunny is stuffed. I'm loving where that little flower shape ended up on his rump. And yeah, and as I was stuffing, you can see that this is already starting to fray a bit just from manipulating it around and whatever else. So I'm going to show you the bottom, how you can close this off. A couple options are you can go ahead and you can hot glue. You can add some hot glue in there and just hold it to seal it shut. But because, like I said, I like to keep this line around here, and I can't feed, my machine will not respond well if I try to feed this through it because it's so close to where it was stuffed. So I am just going to do a bit of a, I'm trying to see if you can see what I'm doing. Just a quick little running stitch, I guess, back and forth. So I'll go back and forth here a couple of times just to nicely seal that up. And to be honest with you, I don't know how, I'm so sorry, how French Creek Farmhouse, how she tells you to finish it. She may have a better idea than this. I just got so excited when I saw the template that I didn't look at the instructions. But yeah, I'm sure there's some information there on how she, because hers are stuffed as well. Okay, and I'm just going to take the time to go back over that, and then I'll probably trim up this line a little bit so it follows what I've done just a little bit better. But that's okay. I'm just going to trim that up, and it's not meant to be perfect. It's to be rustic. There, like that. And one other thing I'd like to do, if you want to try to fray it more, if you take like a little comb and kind of go around it, and if you had a finer comb than what I have, it kind of can get it looking pretty rustic pretty fast. You can go all the way around, kind of pull out those fibers, and even with your finger, just kind of rough it up a little. Starts to look a little more farmhousey, and I'm just going to cut it a little bit off. Now, what I just discovered, remember how I just was talking about the potential of adding like a little cottontail there? So I have this piece of linty, everything in my craft room's lint right now, sheep wool, and I haven't cut it down or anything, but like, look how cute something like that would be on the little tail of this one. So I might go back and do that. And this one, I don't know if I would bother just because I do have that bit of detail there and I don't want it to get lost. So on this one, I might just go ahead and put a bit of a bow. I might try this one. It's got that little bit of text on it. That looks quite cute. Again, I'm going to have to be careful that I have the text facing outwards. I might just do this style of knot, like you did when you were a kid and you don't know how to tie your laces. So I can have that pretty side facing out. Ooh, I like that. Okay. And whoops. All right, so I'm going to cut that. I'll just kind of adjust it a little bit. Okay. Ooh, so that one's really cute. I like how that came out. So that's one way. Another style that I was playing around with was using these scraps. So these ones I have also, they're just pieces that another maker had left over from what she works on. And so I've been sewing them together. And again, because this is kind of see-through, if I'm going to be using my fabric scraps, which I do want to use, I need to use another fabric in behind. So I could either use up these as my back fabric. It's just such a great scrap buster, this pattern, right? And do that for the one side. I can get him in there. Yeah, that works. And then do the same with the other. So that's how I ended up with something like this. And he's super cute. You could also play with putting a little eye on him. You could either sew a little French knot, or you could use a button, or you could use a bead. There's all sorts of ideas. And these look really cute kind of like perched in a windowsill, like in the corner, or a group of them together. And I do need to start making, I need to make some that these, all of mine for some reason, all face the same way. I think it's just because that's the way the pattern goes. Oops, but I'm gonna make some that go the other way too. So you can kind of like pile them together and stuff. So I highly recommend that you check out this free pattern on French Creek Farmhouse and have some fun with it and start to get some bunnies made up for spring. So I hope you enjoyed this session with me and that you go make some bunnies. And if you liked this video, please do me a favor and subscribe below. It is free, and it just means that when you subscribe, you do get notified when a new video comes out so that you don't miss them. And give the video a like. If you like this kind of content, it lets me know that I'm on the right track and this is the sort of thing that you'd like to see. Thanks so much and have a great day.